Dating Dilemmas tonight on Passion, our monthly feature with Frank Kermit of franktalks.com. We're talking about the emotional needs of men and women and how we understand this. Now, one of your books is Everything Out of Her Mouth is a Test. I'm sure men and women test just differently. Mm-hmm. But what are these tests? Like, really, everything we say is a test? Like, how do we interpret that? Like,
Behind everything that a woman says and does is an emotional need.
Right.
Now, is everything a test? Well, I talk about this in my book. And no, sometimes when a woman says, "What's the weather like outside?" what she really means is, "What's the weather like outside?"
Right.
So it's not a test.
Yeah, I would hate to think that everything out of my mouth was interpreted as if it was a test.
Well, I interpret everything you say as a test.
Oh, great.
Keeps me on my toes.
Great.
That's why I've lasted so long, Laurie.
That's right.
No, actually what happens is it puts the guy's mind into a frame where he's filtering it. So when she says, "What's the weather like outside?" he has a number of different ways to interpret this. Is she asking me to protect her? So that way I will look at getting her an umbrella, saying, well, maybe you should wear your galoshes, don't scuff your shoes.
Galoshes? I haven't heard that word in a long time.
Galoshes.
Go ahead.
It's a fun-sounding word, galoshes. When she's saying, what's the weather like outside? Maybe she's just feeling like, oh, what's the weather like outside? And maybe she needs a little girl in her cater to. So that way he says, okay, tell you what, get your put your rain coat on, put on your boots. Let's go stomp in the puddles a bit. And you stomp in the puddles, and it's just a lot of fun, and it just snaps her out of her blue mood.
Okay.
So just knowing that there's a filter, that there is an emotional need somewhere in there, puts that guy's set onto radar. He's like, well, I'm looking for that emotional need, because it's not something that guys habitually do. It's not something they usually are not taught to do by their parents when it comes to relationships.
So
that's my job.
What other kinds of tests do women...
Here's a good test. Whenever a woman comments about other women, she's not necessarily meaning anything she's saying in the moment. She wants to see how you're going to react. When she says, my friend Debbie did this. She went to a club and she dressed in a certain way and she got up on the speaker and started to dance really sexy and this and that, and with these guys who are just looking at her, and she'll start to disparage her friend Debbie.
Okay.
This may not have even happened, but she's doing it because she wants to see how the guy's going to react. Now, if he turns around and says, oh, you know what, you're right. That Debbie, she's a bad person and she should be ashamed for what she does. Here's what's being communicated. She's understanding, so I could never experiment and do something like that with you. You wouldn't be able to handle it.
Or I can't tell you about things I've done like that.
Exactly. Or, I better not tell you that it's not really Debbie who did that. It's me. Okay, you can't handle that sexuality. I'll start keeping secrets from you. What I would teach guys to say is, look, if you really feel that that is inappropriate behavior, you have to comment on the behavior. You don't make a judgment on the person.
Right.
You can say, well, I don't think that's appropriate behavior because, and then you list whatever values that you associate with it. At least she's still getting to know you.
Right.
However, here's what a lot of guys do. They'll say one thing, but actually mean the other. They'll think, well, I want her to like me, so I'll tell her, yeah, your friend Debbie's really bad for doing that. Meanwhile, what he's really hoping, wow, I'd really like to date your friend Debbie.
Right.
So if that is what's going on through his head, that's what he needs to communicate. He needs to turn around and say, why are you disparaging your friend Debbie? First of all, you're not being a very good friend to her. That is showing dominance. That's saying, look, I don't care if you're going to get angry with me being honest with you. I'm going to be honest with you anyway.
Right.
That addresses honesty, which is another emotional need of women. And telling her, listen, your friend Debbie is just liberated. She feels comfortable being sexual, and I like that.
Honesty, you bring up honesty, and I think, yes, that is, I hear that over and over and over again, and women have a really hard time with guys who keep secrets. They need transparency.
Well, women are so used to being lied to because sex for men is an emotional need, and some guys will lie just to get the sex. So women are, especially if she gets a lot of male attention, gets a lot of sexual attention, she's used to being lied to because she knows this guy doesn't really care about her. All they want is to get into her pants. And I really understood this during my experimentation when I used to dress like a pimp. Hear me out.
Those are funny pictures.
Hear me out. I would go out to clubs dressed like a pimp. Here's what would happen. The prettiest girls in the club would approach me. They would start touching me. They would say things to me like, you're so sexy. You're so sensual. I'm over 300 pounds. No woman has ever told me that I'm so sexy and sensual. But if I dressed
like a pimp,
like a pimp, I had the gold chains, I had the rings,
Oh
I
my
had the
God.
I had the
What did they see in you?
drama and high quality sperm, two great emotional needs.
Drama and high quality. On that note, Frank, I know you do have a beautiful son, if that means you're high quality sperm. I don't know. Thanks very much. We'll talk to you again in August. Oh my God, August already. That's it for me, folks. If you want to get in touch with Frank at franktalks.com. You want to get in touch with me, passion at CJAD.com. You can also follow me on Twitter at Dr. Laurie Sex Talk. I want to thank Matt Ward. Thank you so much in Master Control. News is coming up next, and then Joey comes back for his comedy show. Have a wonderful rest of the evening, and remember, life is short, so do take the time to smell the flowers and indulge your passions.
Hi, this is Andrew Carter on the next CJAD Morning Show at 6:15. The Grocery Girl at 8:40. Richard Krause reviews the movie you've been waiting for. And to string it all together, the New York Times best-selling cookbook. We have the author of the unofficial Harry Potter cookbook. The CJAD Morning Show, 5:30 to 9.
From the CJAD Frank Talks is sponsored in part by Everything Out of Her Mouth is a Test, a man's guide to the emotional needs of women. What would your life be like if you knew exactly what to say and do with women? This book is for the guy that simply wants to learn how to handle women's tests by addressing her emotional needs. By this, you create the type of attraction that will make her see you as the one she was destined to be with. This book will teach you how to get the woman you want and how to keep her. Everything Out of Her Mouth is a Test is the Rosetta Stone for men to understand exactly what a woman means when she speaks and how to respond. Is that worth changing your life forever? Buy this book at franktalks.com now.
Frank Talks is sponsored in part by The Eye of the Seductress, Volume 1, a workbook for women to learn about the emotional needs of men. This book is designed to teach women how to seduce men into making a commitment. By learning about the emotional needs of men, a woman will learn what makes even the most notorious players, pimps, and high-value men and quality male leaders commit to one particular woman. From the desk of Frank B. Kermit, the seduction relationship expert, this book is also a great resource for men to learn how to judge the value of a woman to know if she is worthy of everything he has to offer. The Eye of the Seductress. Buy this book now at franktalks.com.
From Loser to Seducer is the story of Frank B. Kermit. This book marks the triumph of a nice guy over most of his inner demons. This includes going from being a loser to managing 5 lovers at the same time, his first Valentine's date with 2 women at the same time, and getting back the one that got away. Want to learn how you can change your life? Buy this book at franktalks.com.